Okay, good morning. We're just going to go through one last video on shape for the second assignment and just look at some of those finishing touches and answer some common questions. So we're going to start with the fixing screw, which we've got here. And questions I keep getting asked are, it says undercut to root with thread. What do I do about that? Well, as you can see here, I've actually done an undercut. Don't mind if you do, I don't mind if you don't. It's up to yourself. I'm not going to lose any sleep if there's no undercut on board. Okay, so all I've done, we can see this here. I'll just roll it back to there. All I've done is a quick sketch. So let's just press P to bring up the planes there. So you can see I've done a quick sketch. I've done it on the front plane there because that goes through the centre of my part, or I could have done it on the right plane. The model may be different, but that's all we've done. So let's just N for normal to sketch plane. No, not that sketch plane. So there we are. N for normal to sketch plane, and just press P to get rid of the planes there. So I've just done a little rectangle there on that edge. And then all I've done from there is I've just revolved that around, revolve, remove, extrude, remove, revolve, remove. And then that's just taken it out. And it's mostly a cosmetic thing really. And then over on the drawing, still waiting. There we go. Right. Over on the drawing, I've labelled that as M10 by 1.5, and I've just done that with note there. So we can just pick a point on the surface, and then we can type whatever we like, and we can insert symbols like diameter or anything else we like really. Degrees there. Okay, so that's how we do that. So undercut to thread diameter is just there. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to put these tram lines on. If we just go over to here, we've got the tram lines that represent where we put our zigzag, where the zigzags would be of the screw thread. So what does that look like? How do we do that? Well, the easiest way to fudge this is when we've got everything in place and we're happy with our drawing, we can just draw in a couple of lines like this. Okay, which is an acceptable solution. Problem with that is you've got to make sure you select it when you move, otherwise it won't move with your part. So, oops, daisy, what's going on there? Oh, let's just redo that. Let's just bring that back in. There we go. Yeah, so now obviously that would move together. You've just got to be aware of that. Yeah. So that's one solution. A slightly more permanent solution would be to do a sketch on the actual drawing. So there's our front view. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch here. And I'm going to select my front view as the sketch plane there. And for normal to sketch plane, just move it into view. And I'm just going to first of all bring in these lines for my sketch. And then I'm going to just draw a couple of lines from there to there, escape, another line from there to there. Okay, and then we're just going to very quickly dimension those up at 1mm and 1mm. Okay, so that's a very quick sketch that we've just done there. And I'm going to go back to my drawing, and I'm going to hit the refresh button because the drawing needs to be aware of that sketch that we've just done. So until we hit the refresh button, it won't see that new sketch. So I'm just going to hit the refresh button there. Wait a second or two, and a little bit longer. I should probably pause while it's doing this, shouldn't I? That'd be a good thing to do. And then, oh, there we go. Right, okay. So let's delete that. So then I'm going to right click. Oh, come on, there we go. And you see it says show hide sketches. So I'm just going to select show hide sketches. And then I'm going to select the last sketch we did, sketch 7. I'm going to hit the tick button. And then with a bit of luck, just wait for it. And there we are. So we can see we've got those lines in place now. And they obviously they're part of the drawing, so they move wherever we go. So that's another way you can tackle that. Okay. So that's one question that's been asked of me quite regularly. And if we flick over to this drawing here, people have also said, well, how do we get that line there? How do we make sure the tram line, the thread only comes down that far? And this one, it's a bit more useful doing it this way, because if we do it, if we put the sketch up in the drawing, then we can actually dimension. We can actually use that as a point to dimension. So we need that 90 there. We need that 90 because that tells us when the thread stops. So if we go to the threaded bolt, as I think I've called it, if we go to the threaded bolt, then we can see how we do that. So once more, I've put a cosmetic thread on there. And yeah, so you can see that, oopsie daisy, what I've done is I have created a plane. So let's just press P to, oh dear, crikey, quite a lot of planes there. So I've created have I created a plane? Yes, I've created a plane, sketch plane 3. Okay, so let's just roll back and see how we do that. Yeah, so what did I do? Well, we've got the create plane button here. And we've got various options. Yeah, so we can offset plane point. There's one of the Onshape videos goes through this very well and lets you know what to do. But we've got offset plane point angle. Okay, so that's this button up here, plane. So we're just going for an offset, and all I've done is I have offset from a previous plane I've made. But you could pick. I don't know why I've made a previous plane. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've come to this drawing. But you could pick, you could pick this face here as your plane to offset, or you could pick one of the default faces. You know, your top, your front plane there. Yeah, and then I've offset the plane to the point where I want my thread to stop. Okay, so now that I've got a plane, I can do a drawing on my plane. I've put a piece of paper there. And all I've done, and I could, so I've just put a circle there, and obviously when we look at that circle from the right side, then what we see is a straight line, and that's what will show up in the drawing. Yeah, so on my plane, I've just drawn a circle the same diameter as the main shaft there. Okay, just from the center point. Okay, so that's what we've done there, and then I've also done a sketch, and this is on the right plane, which goes through the middle of this part, and I've, like before, I've just done my 2 center lines, but then they can come down, and they can be, if I show the sketch there, you'll see that they link to that sketch. Okay, yeah, and then I've just dimensioned them the same as well. Okay, so that's how we've done that, but then that means every day we're buffering. Oh dear. I need to get the internet sorted. And that means that we can then use these points for dimensions. So you can see that 90 actually dimensions to that sketch circle that we had. Yeah. So it makes it much more a part of the model, which is useful easy for me to say, which is useful for dimensioning. So hopefully that helps you there. Was there anything else that people have been common questions that I keep getting asked? Just remember that this is actually 2 parts. It doesn't say it on the it says T-bar. It should say T-bar and end thing, shouldn't it, on the title, to give you more of a hint. But that's obviously not a projection of that. It's not lined up or anything, so it's a second part on the same drawing. So, and the blue dotted lines, people keep saying, you've not said what the lines are. Well, they're dot lines, which means they're hidden detail. So what might that represent? Well, it's a diameter, it's hidden, so it's a hole through the middle, isn't it? So, as people keep asking that, let's have a look. I don't think there's anything else major that people keep asking. Once we've got over the initial hump. Okay, so that's it for now. I'm going to stop this and get it uploaded for you good people. Right, thank you very much. Have a nice day.